It is that time of the year again. It's time to review, to plan, to prioritize for next year. And I have realized the problem is not in planning, putting our thoughts down on paper, having a direction. Most of us know generally where we're headed. But the problem is then how do we make sure we take those actions to make that plan happen? So I have revamped how I plan. I will share with you the 5 frameworks I use to make sure I think about the actions and make sure I do the actions next year. The whole thing only takes 15 minutes. We'll spend 5 minutes on review, 5 minutes on plan, and 5 minutes on prioritizing. For me, 15 minutes is the sweet spot. Time boxing it is also really important. So many of you from last year also mentioned this, so we are doing 5-5-5. First box is review. Let's use the first framework, 80-20. Which 20% of actions led to 80% of the results, and which 80% of actions we did that only led to 20% of the results. Let's figure it out. Let's see where the leverage is. First, let's start with the 20% of action that got us 80% of the results. Now that I look at it, my 80-20 has 2 themes. Both involve me spending time with others, and both involve who I'm spending it with. So this year, I realized, 1, I need to spend time with people who love doing what I hate doing. So for example, this year I worked with Cecile, and we did this exercise where we mapped out every project that I was doing. YouTube, writing, teaching courses, workshops, doing these consulting work, all of these we mapped out, and we looked at them and said, hey, let's prioritize. Let's figure out how long each thing takes, how long the project is, which one gives you more joy, and let's map it out. I hate doing this kinds of work when I am in the middle of creating content, I'm in the middle of writing my book. So it was so helpful to have someone else who loved the process to take me through it. The second thing is also who I spend time working with. So this year, towards the end, I did a little experiment. And you might have seen it in this video here where I talked about I want to now work with people who I enjoy working with, long-term people. We are thinking about things that we both like. We want to improve how we think, how we speak. And by making that shift, by working with people more one-on-one, by having a closer connection with the people that I work with, I became so creative and I understood the problems better. I enjoyed creating things for people who are in the long haul. So this, for me, was my 80-20. Now we know this, let's do the reverse. What are 80% of the actions, the time that we've spent that led to only 20% of our results? Let's brainstorm for 2 minutes. 80% that only led to 20% of results are, surprise, surprise, the things that I should have just put my foot down and said no to. They are things like in my emails, trying to say no to a collaboration, but somehow, I allow this back and forth. Oh, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't do it, maybe at a later date. Just cut it. Vicky, just cut it. Or it's decisions I've made. Okay, I am going to try this. I am going to post videos now on not just, learn from me, but also learn with me. Things that I read, I find interesting, I want to share. Maybe do a book club of some kind. But I keep on going back and forth. Oh, but then maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should. Again, just move on. I think this is pretty clear for me now, what I've wasted my time on this year. And that leads really perfectly to the next thing we're going to do, which is via Negativa. Describe something by what it is not. And in this case, we are doing what are the things from 2024 that we're not going to repeat again in 2025. For me, 3 things are clear. No relitigating of these decisions. No last minute planning where I do everything in my head because I'm at a place where I need to be able to delegate and explain properly, so I will not leave things to the last minute. And number 3 is stop getting hangry. Again, this came up last year as well, but I know I'm going to get hangry, so prepare for it. So that wraps up review, the good and the bad actions now we have in our mind as we do the next part, which is planning for our 2025. And the structure we're going to use is the mind map from Passion Planner. I've been using these for several years now, and I can tell you every single person I know who uses it always say 100% your goals get achieved. And for me, it's the same. So that's why let's use this. And we are going to invert. If anything were possible, what would you be doing in 3 months, 1 year, 3 years, and a lifetime? Let's spend 5 minutes and brainstorm. Planning is always my favorite part. It's so generative. There's endless possibilities. 5 minutes never seem like enough. And out of all the things that you've written, you are ready to go on the next step, which is prioritize. We're putting our feet back on the ground for a second, and we are using the one thing to make sure that we bring it back down to, with the limited time, resource, all of these things that exist in reality, which one will we do first? So we'll do this in 2 steps. The first one, we will pick our prioritization, the things that we want to do for each time frame. So for the 3 month, 1 year, 3 years, and a lifetime, circle one thing each that you'll prioritize. And then once you've done that, you have to only pick one out of the 4. So you have 2 minutes to do it. Let's see how it goes. I've never been good at picking the one thing until I realize if I pick something that allows me to do multiple things that I love and they all funnel their energy towards one direction, then that's the right thing to pick. For example, I'm doing YouTube and that's the right one thing to focus on because that allows me to learn new things. It allows me to talk about them. It allows me to distill ideas, talk to people who also love to learn, to communicate their ideas, to share. So yeah, the one thing for me was YouTube. And now, as I was doing this exercise, instead of picking spend time with family, which I feel bad not picking, I picked creating a career where I have the creative freedom and I can make money doing it. Even though I didn't pick family, I think by creating that, I will actually be present when I'm with my family instead of complaining about this and that. I will be there for them. I can create opportunities for them. I can create experiences that we can all do together. So that's my one thing. And with the one thing in mind, here is the next thing we want to do, which is in order to achieve it, there are hard things that we need to do. Comes back to what I was talking about in the beginning. It's good to have a plan, but how are you going to get there? And the thing lies in doing the hard thing, which we always try to procrastinate on. So in this exercise, we are going to identify the things that is hard, but we will say yes to, and the things that are hard, but we will say no to. And this way, it will really give us the decision-making tool that we need. And we'll put that into a time frame. So let's say, I hate to wake up at 5 and maybe I need to wake up at 5 to do this creative pursuit. So what I will say is, even though it's hard, I will say yes to waking up at 5 for 2 months, just to see what happens, right? In 60 days, can I do it? Does it help me? And if it doesn't, I can remove this. I can say, I've done it. I've tried it, but it didn't work. Let me try something else. Or if it actually works, then I've proven to myself, hey, I could do it for 2 months. I could probably do it for another 2. All right, let's brainstorm on this and get to work. Looking at the frogs I need to eat, which, by the way, Cecile taught me this when we were going through that exercise, I realize they are my excuses. My excuse by saying, oh, I'm like this, therefore it's impossible for me to do something like that. And that's such a fixed mindset thing to say. So I'm going to put those aside, usually for a month to 3 months, and just let myself see how do I actually enjoy the things that I think I hate doing, but I actually don't know if I hate doing it or not. Give myself enough time to just see it. And if I really do hate it after 3 months, I can always change it. You can get this worksheet for free in the link below. And let me know in the comments, what did you learn about yourself? What are you going to be focusing on next year? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.